Hi, everybody. I'm Shelley Elkovich, co-founder of For Bitter for Worse. We make non-alcoholic cocktails, complex cocktails with love, not alcohol. So I know there's some brands in the audience. Who's an Alc brand? Are there any non-Alc brands in the house? Well, all right. There we go. Bars? We have any bars? All right. You know who I'm talking to. I've got something for everyone. So the modern consumer is moderating their alcohol intake. They focus on occasion more than ABV. They're alcohol flexible, and they seek transparency. So we've got some common ground right away for non-alc and alcohol brands, because the majority of consumers are moderating rather than completely abstaining. And 80% of purchasers of non-alc are also consumers of alcohol. So we've got three things that we've kind of identified through IWSR in terms of common consumption patterns. The first are the substitutors. So substitutors are people who drink NA on some occasion and switch to full strength drinks on other occasions. 21% are blenders. Now, blenders switch between full strength and NA on the same occasion. And then we've got abstainers, who are about 22% of non-alc consumers. Sort of speaks for itself there. So some of the macro trends that are supporting moderation. We've got a psychographic profile with millennials and Gen Z that are sort of leading this pack, right? They are the flexible, creative thinkers. They're non-binary in their approach to many lifestyle choices. If you think about flexitarian diets, a Sprouts market study reported 47% of Americans describe themselves as flexitarians, with 54% of respondents ages 24 to 39 identifying as flexitarian. And as Effie mentioned, there's a great focus on mental health, right? According to a 2022 report, 90% of Americans believe there's a mental health crisis in the US. We're living in this age of anxiety, right? We've got global pandemic, climate change, fill in the blank. And as a result, there's reduced stigma regarding mental health challenges and wellness. That's a great thing. People are more willing to talk about it, right? Over 43 million US adults take antidepressants. Many of these medications are incompatible with alcohol. I saw a really interesting scene sort of play out at Spirited Away, which is a non-alcoholic bottle shop in Nolita. And there was a young woman who had just started taking SSRIs, and that's an antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication. So she could no longer drink alcohol. And the floor manager was helping her find her way through drinks that were still compatible for her with her medication. It's a big task for somebody on the floor of a bottle shop, but he did great. So we've also got cannabis, as mentioned, right? It's legal or decriminalized in most states. There's a sizable population of people who are choosing 420-friendly drinks when socializing and consuming cannabis. And in Oregon, we are seeing increasing attention to psilocybin. It's not yet legal, but people are more and more out about their consumption of magic mushrooms and are often looking for drinks that are compatible with that substance as well. So let's talk about occasion. Grocery stores, and I would wager liquor stores and bottle shops, are generally destinations where consumers have a high intent to buy. Most people don't go to Whole Foods to casually browse the way they might at a clothing boutique. The shopping trips are purpose-driven rather than recreational. Specific occasion drives about half of all grocery trips in the United States. So if your brand is able to unlock the occasion for the consumer, you can increase sales. Occasions range from major holidays, right? Independence Day is a big drinking day, dinner parties, birthdays, and sporting events. But think beyond that. Think about the optimal occasion where your brand fits best. Find your niche. An example of a non-alc brand that does this beautifully is Athletic Beer, right? It's right there in the name. And in every brand asset, they show people with the can engaging in sports. Format presents another opportunity for occasion marketing. Our best-selling aperitif, Eva's Spritz, is popular at wedding receptions and formal events when it's in the 750 ml bottle. But the exact same product is equally enjoyed in can format at music festivals such as Coachella this year. So I know there's only a couple of us who are non-alc, but we're going to talk a little bit about non-alc opportunities in the room today. So again, music festivals and culture festivals such as Sundance, where we were also featured this year, Coachella, the New Orleans Jazz Festival, Stagecoach, Nashville Country Music Festival, and Pickathon are a few venues that are for the first time offering a curated non-alc menu this season. So these festivals offer a prime opportunity to steal share from soda and water. When approaching retail, we'll just talk about when approaching retail for a second. Have a point of view where in the store and where on the shelf your product should live. Again, this is for non-alc because it's a problem for us. You know, they're still figuring it out. One of the things you can do is think about a curated set. Think about who your shelf mates are, and don't be afraid to talk to your distributor, talk to your buyers about who would be a good shelf mate for you. In the appendix, I've got a great example of an example set that was put together by our friends at All the Bitter. And so now we're going to talk about the modern consumer and their values for transparency. 63% of consumers are more concerned now with label reading. And it's really interesting because when it comes to transparency and buying decisions, the product label accounts for 48.8% of consumer decision making. That's more than the brand website, and it's more than recommendations from friends or family. So your label does a lot of work for you. Non-alc beverages are required to list their ingredients. Consumers who purchase both non-alc and alcohol and who are also label reading types will likely gravitate toward alcohol brands who demonstrate ingredient transparency in their labels. And this is a powerful differentiator in the category. Brands such as Juneshine and Veso are leading the way and receiving praise for their efforts. Transparency in walking your talk. So 89% of US consumers are more likely to have a positive image of brands that lead with purpose. And 72% say they feel it's more important than ever to buy from companies that reflect their values. And as touched on, Gen Z is really hardcore about this. 72% of Gen Z consumers factor a company's purpose when shopping, and even more interesting, 75% will do research to see if a company is walking their talk when it takes a stand on an issue. So greenwashing, pinkwashing, and other hollow marketing efforts can really backfire with this savvy younger demographic. 85% of Gen Z says they will share their positive opinion about a company that is doing good. Finally, the modern consumer is alcohol flexible. So as a non-alc brand, people always ask me if we spike our drinks, can we spike our drinks? And of course, the answer is yes. But I will admit that I didn't create our drinks to be mixers, right? They're meant for the underserved, literally underserved population who's abstaining, whether it's a night or for a longer period of time. But then I had this great experience with Audible Corporation. They hired me to design a cocktail for about 350 of their team members. And it's this one pictured here, Love Wins. And so the default drink was this beautiful cocktail. And then the inclusive twist was that there was an optional shot of gin. And so it was really lovely to see everybody had the same drink. Everybody had the same beautiful drink. You couldn't tell whose was non-alcoholic just at a glance. So that kind of changed my perspective and has got me thinking more about collaboration and spiking. If you're interested in that route, Jeffrey Morgenthaler has a great ABV calculator. It's in the appendix on our slides, and it's also very easy to find with a Google. So if you want to collaborate with a non-alc brand or you want to just look at your ABV, that's one of the great ways to go.